Hey everybody, Matt here for AVC and welcome back to the shop. Today we're talking toolkits. Spring is upon us, van season is here. We thought it'd be a really good time to stop and take a look at what I like to include in my van for a road trip to make sure I can cover any situation that arises. So the idea today is not to tell you to go out and buy a bunch of new tools, but I do think it's best if you have a double of these items so they can just live in the van. If we're moving things in and out of the van, it's really easy to leave something behind, and in the moment you need it the most, it's gonna be living back home in your garage. So we're gonna talk about a lot of different stuff here. All of these items are gonna be linked on our Amazon page, linked in the description below. If you do go and use that link, you're gonna help support our shop, support the channel, so thanks for that. Let's jump right in. Our first item we're gonna talk about today is a utility knife. A simple utility knife gets a ton of stuff done. We can cut cord, we can do anything around our campsite. We can even cut wire or strip wire if we need to. I like these fastbacks because I can store some extra blades inside here. When I'm away from the shop, I can always have a sharp knife. And it's really easy to change these blades out. And this snap-in configuration like this is much nicer than those little cheap extraction ones. Our next item is gonna be a multi-tool screwdriver. So this is kind of like a 4-in-1. It's better than having a bunch of different screwdrivers. We're trying to keep the kit minimal as possible. So something like this that's gonna do mini Phillips, big Phillips. We can switch these in and out. It also works as like a little hex driver. So you can see if that's gonna work for your pieces and parts inside the van. Like I know this one works for tightening up our latches on our overhead cabinets. So it's super handy to have and make sure there's no rattles in the van. Next one here is a set of side cutters. So little wire cutters like this are super handy for using around in the van, clipping wires, cutting zip ties, anything like that. I think these are really clutch and I have these everywhere in my life. Sticking along in the small tools section, a set of multi-purpose electrical pliers like this. These are gonna strip wire. We're gonna crimp connections onto wires if we need them to. I can cut wire with these. I have a bunch more electrical tools that we use here in the shop, but if I'm putting together kind of my emergency kit, this is gonna do everything I need it to do. Another good thing to have in the van is a set of Allen wrenches. I like these orbital end Allen wrenches because I can get into some tighter spaces. And when I'm doing repairs in the van, I often need to get into some weird contortion space under the bed or inside an electrical cabinet. And these are gonna help me get into those spaces. I carry these also because I'm always working on bikes. So they come in super handy for changing out a bottle cage or something like that when I'm out at the trailhead. The next one is a complete socket set. This is one of the bigger items that I would carry in a van, but we have a couple of these kits in the shop and they do just about everything we need them to do. You could pull these off here and put them on a smaller rail, and you can store these in one of our tool kits, and that can shrink the size of this kit up. But having something like this that has everything displayed and organized is actually pretty handy. It comes in its own case, and I don't need a huge kit, anything bigger than this, but this is gonna help me do any kind of repairs to my electrical system, make sure all my connections are tight. If I need to do anything mechanical on the vehicle as well, I can use this for it. It comes in super handy, and this thing covers just about all the bases we would need. Our next item is a digital multimeter. This is probably one of the most important things to keep in your van, and it's one that I really wish a lot of my customers had in their van too. If you're trying to troubleshoot something when you're out on the road, just checking for voltage for something or checking continuity to make sure you have a proper ground comes in super handy. I should probably just throw one of these in with every van build that we do so that everybody has one. Now you can get a much fancier multimeter like this, but this one really does the job. It's like 30 bucks and it does everything we need to do here in the shop. Like I said, you can get fancier stuff, but keep it simple, keep it cheap, and keep it in the van. The next item I have here is a NOCO booster pack. These are one of these little jumpstart battery packs that you can use to jumpstart your vehicle if you need to, or more importantly, jumpstart somebody else's vehicle. With modern computer systems in vans and things like that, I really don't like to use my vehicle to jumpstart somebody else's vehicle, but one of these things still lets me help somebody out in a pinch, and it helps me self-recover if I need to. We've seen fancy electrical systems that can jumpstart themselves or something like that, and frankly, our old electrical systems used to do that. But carrying something like this covers a lot more ground, and it's a lot more handy than a set of jumper cables. It also works as an auxiliary battery, which is really cool. So if I need to charge a phone or charge something out remotely from the van, it works as that. And we actually have used that when we're filming content here in the shop. And then the other nice thing is it has a little flashlight on it. And if I need to work outside or something like that, if I have this in the van, I got a little flashlight. Since we're talking flashlight, it is actually really handy to have a little scene light like this. This is something I can set up if I'm working underneath the van, and I can use this to light up whatever I'm working on, or if I'm stuck underneath the bed inside in my electrical cabinet, I can use this thing to light up what I'm working on. It makes the job so much easier. We can actually see what you're working on. So having a little portable light like this is super handy. We use it all the time when we're camping too, so it's not a one-purpose kind of an item. And this one also is another battery backup. So if I need to use the battery on this light to charge a phone, something like that, I can do that too. Since we were talking about lighting things up underneath the van, it's also really handy to have a little like tent footprint or some kind of ground cloth, something to lay down. Your van is never gonna break down on dry pavement. It's always gonna be in the wet grass, on the sand, something like that. So if you have something here that you can open up and lay down, you can lay down on this and not get yourself filthy. You can not lose tools or lose screws, things like that, and it's gonna grab those up for you. This is one that I would keep dedicated to the kit and I wouldn't bring in and out all the time. They pack up super small and it's a great thing to have in a pinch. The last piece in my kit that's not part of my small parts kit is some single-use super glue. Single-use super glue doesn't dry up in the van, which is really nice, and comes in handy for all sorts of stuff. I wear glasses, so I break my glasses all the time, playing around outside, so it's a good way to repair my glasses if I need to. It's a good way to stick something back into the van if I need to, whatever it is. It's a pretty invaluable item to have around, but make sure it's single-use because those big bottles are gonna dry up and kick on you. So that's it for some of the loose items that we carry in our kit. I do like to carry a little fishing organizer like this with a bunch of little pieces and parts that are gonna help me solve problems. Let's take a look inside this kit and see what we got. So in my loose kit here, I have a bunch of little problem solvers, then it's mostly electrical and system specific. So the first item here that's the most valuable are these Wagos. These are little lever nuts that are gonna help us make new wire connections, repair something in an emergency, or just tag onto an existing circuit and energize maybe a bad USB or something like that. I have Wagos in 2, 3, and 5 jump configurations, so I can solve just about any problem. Another thing on the electrical realm that's really handy to have are these little blade fuses that I can use to connect to my DC distribution panel or my fuse panel, and then also just these butt connectors. If I want to kill a circuit, but I want to keep it safely disconnected, I can put this on the end of that wire and crimp it off, and I can make sure that I'm not going to short out any fuses or anything like that. Speaking of fuses, I always carry a few extra bus fuses. These you can actually find at some gas stations and things like that, and that's why we like to use these bus fuses, but having a few handy in your kit is always really good. Carry a variety of different sizes, and then make sure you carry more than you need, because you're gonna end up shorting a couple fuses as you figure out what happened on that circuit. So carry a lot of those because they're cheap and they're easy to have. Another one to bring up is these specific Ford fuses. So these go underneath your driver's seat, and this is one of the fuses that's gonna energize your CCP. So if you're running your system off that smaller connection, having this piece is definitely something that nobody's gonna have around, but having that is gonna save your butt if you need to keep your battery system charging from the vehicle. Another item that we carry around are these smaller 60 amp MIDI fuses. These work on those 2019 vans and older because that CCP was a different system. So make sure you carry the correct fuse for your vehicle charging system to keep that thing running. In that same cubby, I also carry some of these mega fuses. We started using that Victron Lynx distributor. And so these fuses are not something that most gas stations are gonna have. So having these handy is gonna be really crucial to keep your system up and running, keep some of those larger items running for you. Rounding out the electrical system are just some of these little tiny 1/8" jumpers. These fit onto some of my switches. So I like to have these because I can just slide this onto a switch and fix a connection if I need to. I can strip off the end and then I can use that to jump a circuit or just connect to whatever I need to with one of my Wagos. The last two items in this are a quick plumbing fitting here. So this is a shark bite connection that's just a cap for a water system. If I need to pop this off of here, I can, and I can just cap a loose water connection, and that's gonna keep my plumbing running. And then I also keep one of these twist-on fittings with a rubber grommet inside. So if I need to, I can sacrifice the rubber grommet out of here and repair a fitting that's broken. I can twist this on to maybe my hot water heater and turn off the hot water heater and keep my cold water system running. A little kit like this is gonna do a lot for you. The last thing for plumbing I keep in here is just a couple of hose clamps, and these can do a little bit of everything in the world, but keeping like one of your soft nylon hoses sealed up is gonna be really handy. Then the last item I have in the kit is just an assortment of screws. I threw a few different ones in here so that I can attach something to the van if I need to, fix something out. If I have a wall panel pop off, something like that, you never know what it's gonna be, but a couple screws, super easy to have and keep your kit handy. So this is kind of a funny one, but I actually like to keep about 20 feet of wire in the van. 20 feet is gonna get me from one point of the van to another, and I can jump about any circuit I need to. So if for some reason something got loose in the ceiling and killed a section of lights, I can cut this wire back and I can bring it to that connection. I can bring something directly from my fuse panel to some other place in the van. I can even go under the van and go somewhere if I need to. But 20 feet is long enough to reach about anywhere in the vehicle. We carry a 12 or a 14-4 in there, and that means it's 14 gauge and 4 wires. If I have something that's run on a 12 gauge wire and I need to boost that up, I can just strip these two together and combine them. And that's gonna at least limp me along till we're done with our trip. Otherwise, I can cut this thing up and use it for shorter runs and do whatever I need to. And it's not so much that it's in the way. Our last item before we get into our tool bag itself is gonna be just a simple lap strap. You can get these like as NRS straps, battery tie down straps, anything like that. These are just gonna solve a lot of problems for you, whether it's tying up a paddleboard onto your roof, or securing some logs to bring to the campfire, or tying up your bed system or something like that. This is an invaluable thing, and I like these a lot more than those ratchet straps. They're not gonna be as strong, but for what I'm doing in the van, this does just about everything I need to, and they're super handy for all sorts of different stuff in your van. Along with that, I'll carry a couple extra quick connects for an L-track system. I know everybody loves L-track out there, so having a couple extra tie downs in your kit can help you just tie down whatever it is you need. And these honestly should be living in your van if you have L-track. The last item in our toolkit is gonna be the actual toolkit itself. So I like these roll top bags a lot because they have these different segments inside of them. And so I can have a specific little cubby for each project, whether it's a mechanical, tying things down, electrical kit, and just odds and ends. It's a way to divide all my work. And then I can grab these and go out to and complete my project and then have a place for these to come back and live. I saw someone on the forum had talked about getting one with clear bins or clear fronts so you can see what's inside there. Super pro tip. I love that one. And then after picking up this one, I think doing a lighter colored one would have been a little bit smarter because I could write on the side with Sharpie and I could write what's inside that kit. And it's just gonna be a little bit easier to see. I can solve that problem with a silver Sharpie, but if I'm picking a brand new one anyway, might as well get a lighter colored one. These are also really nice because you can roll them out outside the van or wherever you are, and it helps you have a clean surface to set parts down so I don't lose any screws or anything like that, loose items. I can find my tools without having them sitting in the dirt. The last item I really want to talk about is some kind of traction board or like Max Tracks. This is so big that it's not something I keep in the van all the time, but if I'm on a big road trip or it's winter time, I'm gonna leave these in the van. It's also really nice if I'm gonna be going somewhere where we're gonna be a little bit more off-road or maybe out to the beach. They can help you self-recover and they're very handy. Just make sure you get some that are rated for the weight of your vehicle because our vans are a little bit heavier than your average Tacoma. As you can see, all those items we just talked about fit into this handy roll bag, which is super nice. The only things that didn't fit are gonna be my DeWalt toolkit and my flashlight, but I actually like to leave this one in the cabinet charging so it's always ready to go. And this one, I could break down and get it in here if I wanted to, but I just like the little case that's in it. The other things I did want to mention that it's probably best saved for another video, but I like to carry a boo-boo kit. So just Band-Aids, really simple stuff for the kids, bumps and scrapes, things like that. And then my wife's a nurse and we do some pretty rowdy things, mountain biking, skiing. So I actually carry a level 3 trauma kit in my van. This one lives in there all the time. It's got a neck brace. It's got just about anything you need aside from a proper ambulance. So if we can't solve it with this, we're gonna be calling 911. So that's it for our AVC toolkit on the road. Was there something we missed in our kit that you would want to bring along? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to bring a ball for the dog, and we'll see you on the next video.